television and news. If this ain't your favorite artist, well, you're not getting amused. This is self-written reviews.
If that's gonna get different clues, open if it's on YouTube, yet he is getting no views.
If you want some unbiased opinions, an analytic mind is worth billions. Yet he has been hiding his brilliance underneath this stifling diffidence. And if you don't like his opinions, go look for like-minded civilians to whine in the comment section and slap a dislike on his videos. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews. And today's Self-Critic is gonna review Elementary, Season 7. Spoilers ahead. Elementary seasons don't deviate much. Lots of talking, few locations, it's all the same stuff. Each next episode, Sherlock and Joan arrest a new foe, and the criminal exits the show. Once in a while, we're treated to a season-long villain. Police wanna bring him to justice, but his schemes are resilient, so the miscreant wreaks havoc until the finale airs. And he's never heard from again, cause really nobody cares. Last season ended like it could have been the final episode. Protagonist leaving United States Police Department, leaving the country to live in London in the final scene, entering the Baker Street Department. But CBS renewed Elementary for its final call in a shortened season. The writers had to find a support and reason for him to be able to come to New York from England, cause he got deported for taking a fall for Captain Gregson's daughter's murder. There was a deal not to set foot in the United States between him and the FBI office worker, which needed to be rescinded. The series is to continue. The job was only half finished though. Gregson getting shot was a rational motivation, but the tactical explanation was just a joke. Turning himself in and blackmailing the agent in jail was insane. Just how he did not even fail was outrageous. Blamed the Moreland court, it was lazy and poorly plotted, because why didn't Sherlock activate it before he boarded? But like I said, Captain injured and in hospital line was a great prologue to the Reichenbach storyline. Odin has to be one of the best elementary big bads, with a strong foundation for his impulse to detect and prevent the mishaps. A rigorous habit invading people's privacy to analyze and predict the killing intent is a terrific concept. Odin used it to harm and to kill the monsters, for they commit misconduct and kill a comrade. It's a clever remote because it's sensible to want to stop a person before they can commit a crime. In a naked time, let's just kill the guy. And you even begin to think this idea isn't of a silly kind, cause upon the first glance his intentions are good. His surveillance data helps him get a definite clue. Who to tell to kill dudes, how to tell who is who, and who needs to be killed in an overwhelming milieu. But upon revision the system is flawed, cause the possibility of killing an innocent not criminals thinking is flawed. You can never be 100% certain of intent, so isn't this villain a fraud? Odin's affluent and he knows what he's doing. NSA in his pocket makes the scoundrel onerous to ruin. Sherlock never dealt with the crook operating in plain sight, with so much influence and broad surveillance at daylight. An obvious homage to Facebook and Google tracking you, selling your data to the highest bidder to come back to you. If the season wasn't so short, Reichenbach's character would have been developed at a better pace and caliber. The transition to him slightly abandoning his ideas and murdering for his own gain was disappointing, but in its own vein was understandable, because it's how powerful people usually get their sole reign. It made the audience easier to dislike him, understand why the protagonist needed to seek to fight him, but it would be compelling if insidious means that Reichenbach remained within the grayness and people had really liked him. Killing Moreland Holmes was sad, but it didn't feel sorrow, even if the show mourned for Holmes' dad. Or the dull rat elementary audience, there was something subtle in the core emotions lacked. It was okay, but could have been better. Sherlock's hollowness was suitable for his temper. Now his vendetta for Odin begins settling in quicker than it did before the guy got his skin buried. But the plan to stop Reichenbach was quite facade. The writing got thick-minded like these writers got writer's block. Forget Sherlock Holmes faking his death, hinging on other crimes, resurfacing is strenuous at best. The guy had everybody on his payroll, infinite resources and money leveraged on as they go. Oligarchs like Odin's hard to erase, a man is too damn big, and his off-screen takedown was anticlimactic. The return of Cassie made me happy. Her chemistry with Sherlock Holmes is only second to Jones. It's difficult to tell if she's lying with her attempts to atone. Makes it interesting to tell if she won't. Whatever happened to Marcus Ernest eagerness to join the US Marshal Service? Maybe I'm forgetting something, but wasn't replacing Gregson not exactly what his target work was? But the finale was awesome, its subject matter was a great bonus. For the first time in Elementary, to my memory there was no case. Almost the episode details focus on the character fates. Over a 3-year time skip, filling in the blanks with intricate plans to obtain closure. Usually the information's lobbying method was talking remarks which otherwise would not be expected. It was funny to spot, but the content covered was top, which is why I loved what I watched. What has become of the plot? There was a secret Joan kept to which we didn't know the answer. It later came to light that she was diagnosed with cancer. The revelation moved me, I teared up at Sherlock embracing Joan. Their affection is greatly known to everyone, but they ain't shown it. So when a conventional emotional expression was exerted, the effect built up even more. Cause Sherlock is still unable to express his intimate compassion to a person he's developed his feelings for. The 1-year time skip misdirection with the coffin you think Watson's was inventive. Because when we see the consultant detectives in the elevator talking, in the next scene you feel tricked by the field trip, so you breathe quick and you get transitioned into the final scene. Sherlock and Watson walk into Captain Bell's office to try to sign with his team behind the screen. It's a fitting in, but if anything, I was disappointed Moriarty wasn't ever seen again. Then again, Sherlock pivoting to a simpleton every time the clash makes the writing too convenient. I'm glad the protagonist didn't kiss or gravitated to sex, a cliche the show evaded. We don't need a marriage between them to know they love each other. Taking it into the grave is overrated. It was a nice season with fun cases, none of which generally can stick in my memory. But still, Elementary is an awesome MOTW series, if not the best within its directory. Yo, welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 5. Spoilers ahead. Yo. As a manga reader, I was more than shocked to see the anime continue Kid Thorfinn's plot and animate the content that didn't appear in the source. Looking forward to the story, it was steered of its course. I understood the decision, cause if you think a little, compared to the anime, the source begins in the middle, so the focal points are different. And here it's a brat, and in the source it's a grim teenager revenging his dad. So the flashback serves to explain the perennial wrath, but in here it bridges the gap between present and past. However, I'm not certain this idea was the greatest, because the manga masterfully avoided clearing up vagueness, and the anime's expansion of the plot was suspicious, like the way Thorfinn ended up with Askeladd and his minions. The absence of angry facial expressions was felt. Hopefully this transgression will end the next step. Admittedly, the episode wasn't without positives. Scenery was gorgeous, the colors and sound awesome. It's amazing what the studio's doing with Vinland Saga, cause they could have easily botched and ruined a brilliant manga, but they didn't. At least not yet. The intensity, pacing, and the atmosphere are kept. I found the adaptation of Ylva's bonus chapter rocking her sadness, dodging, touching. Anyway, thanks for watching. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 6. Spoilers ahead. Another anime original episode, continuing Thorfinn's story developing into a young adult. Manipulated by Askeladd, Thorfinn joined his mob. The call back to the promise motivated the kid to grow a lot. Askeladd's scene of saving the protagonist's life was actually nice and exhibited what his character's like. The fight and montage slowly showing Thorfinn growing was dope. His growth was shown as a soldier, but his soul is falling below. In the scouting mission, when he almost died, a lady and a daughter noticed and brought him to the home, bathed him and gave him food and water. The lady even made a point his nationality didn't matter, didn't give him away when people were looking for a kid with a dagger. And Thorfinn repaid him by unveiling his true colors and burning down a house to expose this place to his new brothers. Murder, rampage, and the disappointment on the lady's face was poignant and amazing rage of Thorfinn didn't change his ways. Oh, I forgot to mention his first kill scene was intense, a key to his stress, aggression, and his killer intent. Overall, the episode was good and smoothly moved the narrative, but I hope the next installment will pursue what chapters give. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review House of Cards, Seasons 3 through 7. Spoilers ahead. I barely remember seasons 1 and 2, but I like the first cause everything is done felt new. I really dug the shrewd Frank Underwood has done no good, but his rise to power was as due. The second season, however, fizzled to punch the mark, beginning to jump the shark, it lingered on plunging hard. Killing Zoe Barnes did less good than harm to the show's quality. The scene was dope probably, but the series flopped horribly. So I took a break from viewing this junk, cause I couldn't wait for it to get good once again. And I only marathoned it long after it ended, which was the right choice, cause I'd rather think how it had been tormented. Season 3 was fine, but what's with the dumb man? Our dog's tamper helped Heather and Barb when he lost Frank, huh? He could barely lift his feet, so how could he kill Rachel and not skip a beat? Apparently digging a grave isn't a difficult strain on ninja dexterity and he isn't in physical pain. Don't even get me started on choking Seth. At least this nonsense became a running joke instead. Don Bar versus Frank had a solid competition, even if I thought Ross' position was probably non-existent. She kept on switching stances, dissing Francis, pissing chances away to give her answers. Will Conway was a formidable foe. There isn't a length where he wasn't willing to go. His positive intentions and being the people's man made it quite challenging for the streets to believe in Frank. But his mental collapse in season 5 was stupid. His like what suited the plot was the right and toolkit. Such a cheap method to make us dislike Will, making him spiral to cater his rival. It was foolish and crazy to use Kevin Spacey time in a coma to compel him to do a 180 and reverse his opinion on his wife becoming a VP, let alone not care about her sucking on TSD. I get why Thomas Yates copulates, but Claire getting attracted to him is not explained. They never even talked when he was writing the book Frank asked him. Suddenly they love each other? How did that happen? Ridiculous scenes, the cringe of the fling depicted between them was one of the biggest I've seen. That twisted the leak of Frank killing Russo and Barnes' chick being Frank was ludicrous garbage. In TV meanwhile, his team exiled the pedophile, and the series highly revered and style was vilified, cause the pedophile is an incredible actor. He carried the show and now there's not a thing to come back to. As you might have expected, the last season was trash. For seeing it's as easy as it is easy to bash. Claire being pregnant with Frank's kid when they don't have sex, and it's not even mentioned or glanced at. It's tragic. The writers forgot the show's troubles and wrote rubbish. No quality control punished and the jokes published. The only redeeming detail was ruined when they concluding what young Claire Hale was doing. I know many hated the finale of Game of Thrones, but where were those clowns when this disgrace was shown? Easily the worst finale I've ever seen in my life. Worse than Scrubs, Entourage, and Dexter Engines combined. Doug killing Frank? What the I don't buy the explanation, Douglas. Stopping Francis Underwood from snuffing by murdering his idol is a bunch of Semper said killing her would tarnish his legacy, but how's it any different from the bodies of enemies he kept dropping perpetually with no end in his vision? Claire knifing Doug afterwards with a pathetic decision. So House of Cards is horrendous, but marketed as this intelligent artistic genius that is hard to transcend. Its alarming consensus is harming people's arduous efforts, praising garbage in seconds and insulting marvelous records. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 11. Spoilers ahead. The art was a tiny bit awkward at times, even if some of the face close-up drawings were nice. They still look better in the source, but the quality's improving. Like Prince Canute in the anime was far more pleasant looking. The mangaka probably wanted to leave some of the male features in the anime. He just looks like a female species. This panel was an awesome shot, yet the show cut Thorfinn out and just left Tosk a lot. Speaking of him, we continue to witness his cunning using Tinder smoke to burn Torkel field of vision and nothing to make it easier for Senators to rescue Canute. Take him to the rest of the group, or else they'd be screwed. Thorfinn's 5 throws with the signature knife pose was one of the fine moments I really liked though. But Torkel letting Thorfinn off the hook in an infinite constant loop does not compute. But at least he's still with 2 fingers missed, consistent with his silliness and villainous business. I enjoyed what I saw in spite of the color palette, but I don't think it'll get modified for another standard. Cause they do not care what Dennis wants, and they do not care what I am thinking. But I will not stop sharing my thoughts, despite the fact that I know no one's listening, except for a few people. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 12. Spoilers ahead. The episode was quiet. Nothing of note to highlight. Everybody is on the road and tired as Escalade wondering how Knut can rule the whole empire. His strategist showed resourcefulness as they sent a naval message for reinforcements to avoid notorious Torkel's warriors. We saw everyone was on a bowl of Torewells. The iconic panels of Knut and Thorfinn were well animated in terms of the looks they're forming. The pacing was a bit slow, but it is no easy task converting walls of text for this show. They fell into the ambush, which made sense, because Torkel doesn't rest until the prince says his. They mightn't have seen it coming, but they have enough soldiers at their disposal to battle Torkel out in the open. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews. And today Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga episode 13. Spoilers ahead. I was wrong. Torkel wasn't in the same lot with the envoys of Brackane Yard with the scale lot. Sometimes I misread scenes, should've known better. Apologies to my two fans for low efforts. The episode marked a new opening theme. It's notable cause some art was one of the dopest I've seen. If they can draw this way, why isn't this the art of the anime? Current qualities like artist teams on the holiday. Regardless, I like the episode and its dialogue. Ask a lot, that's why to God at being sly and smug. Don't remember if it's really a double agent, but the strategy of his speech equally was amazing. The ambiguity where his loyalties lie is a sign of good writing, and that there is more to his life, an enigma. He's portrayed with unparalleled charisma. No wonder Thorfinn's following his commands and pulls the trigger. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews. And today Self-Critic is gonna review Suits Season 9. Spoilers ahead. Suits may have gone way too long. It was crazy to let them drag this failure on. Should have ended when Mike left, if not before. 5 or 4 seasons ago, probably more. Everyone from the cast is screaming like Al Pacino. Even the calm Katrina is seething with raw demeanor. No matter what you need to say,
shout
and see it play.
Doubt.
A hard way when there's an easy way.
Doubt.
These are basic Suits fundamentals to dramatize the dialogue and make it too sentimental. The saccharine tears descend on your cheeks, and it succeeds. But it doesn't make this stupid show any less cheap. The season introduced Faye hired by the bar to supervise the firm, cause this time they've gone afar. Cause a sloppy chain of events with Robert Zane, she ordered to drop his name and everyone's gone insane. Her presence seems really amiss. I'd love to know how realistically legal it is. The law firms get sent a person to check how they work, and if they do dirt, then sack them for never-ending subversion. It could be the case. I don't know the rules and the ways the law works for law firms when dubious plays are routinely made. Who's to say who is to blame? But story-wise, it'd be cool if Faye's put in her place. So let's assume the constraints and look at the fray. Everyone is feuding with Faye to boot her away. She truly made Lewis inflate with fury and rage. How else would you explain Lewis Lit losing his brain?
I want you to find a loophole in the bar's bylaws that I can use to force them to remove her.
But the bar's bylaws are like 1,000 pages long.
3,000. And somewhere in there is a technicality that'll get rid of that woman. And you're gonna build a program to find it.
I'm sorry, what? Build a program looking for a what? A loophole from a physical archive? How does it think it can get scanned into a hard drive? Plus, if such an algorithm existed, wouldn't there be no need for legal practitioner's wisdom? Just ask an IT guy to analyze words with substance and generate a winning statement you can serve to judges. Let's not even discuss the storm when Faye caught him. Let's blame problems on the guy you made solve them and stay absolved from fixing what only you can fix. Who's worse, Suits writers or Lewis Lit?
Well, that stops right now.
And if you don't like it, we'll all resign. And you'll have to explain to the bar why every named partner left, because you wouldn't accept their legal right to waive conflict.
But isn't it what Faye wanted? This lady is a massive diva, and she had no problem firing Samantha Wheeler. Tell me why threatening to resign helps him to stay alive and doesn't play into what Faye designed. Moving on, Donna and Harvey hooked up. Long time coming, so it was logically architected. Could have been worse, but the banality's hard to bypass. Some decent scenes, but totally embarrassing garbage all last. Reappearance of Mike didn't feel like it's Mike, but a run-of-the-mill opponent who was beat in a fight. No memory strats, just a memory lapse from the genius writers who couldn't remember the facts. Thankfully, his second cameo made them a mite enlightened as they rectified the writing and electrified the fight. And SAM and Mike united up to wreck the spiteful psycho neck to neck and eye to eye. But the hack sketched the guy fell idea to hire Harvey to represent her. What? Hire Harvey to represent her? Doesn't he resent her? Doesn't matter, Suits felt it was smart for her to strike a deal with Harvey to get him disbarred. Cause he had to keep a secret from Samantha and Mike. She thought he wouldn't have the foresight to scam her and slide. So they ended in a dumb situation again, where all the lawyers technically wanted the plaintiff to win. But in spite of that, Harvey Specter went against Mike Ross, and Livid Mike didn't comprehend the inside hoax until finally the truth was confided to the dude. And in light of this good news, they decided to collude. Which could have been the strategy from the beginning then, but they had to force the conflict that didn't mean anything.
Least of all this little piece of shit.
Enough! You people make me sick, and I can't wait to put you all behind me.
Well, then don't wait, Faye. Get the hell out right now.
Excuse me?
He said you're done here.
Because that document you just put your name to, Gretchen switched it on your ass during the fight.
And it works because of what? And this is legal because why? Yes, guys, this is the resolution. This is how a top law firm fixes its institution. Harvey later made a side deal to quit the firm, and Faye went for it, cause what's another non sequitur? The rest of the finale played it safe. Nothing really special, but it was okay, I'd say. But the reverse mirroring of the interview in the pilot was brilliant writing and most definitely this season's highlight. Emotional scenes with Harvey and Lewis, they worked. It was rewarding to hear him admit Lewis's worth. I don't know why the remaining partners didn't change the name to Liz Spector, Pearson, Wheeler, Williams, Bennett, Zane. All this drama with Robert's name off the wall. The show didn't remember characters complaining at all. But the season was terrible and I'm glad it's really snuffed. All that's left to do now is cancel its spin-off. I'd be surprised if it lasted another season. Pearson Stevie ratings are disastrous for a reason. Welcome to Self-Critical Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 14. Spoilers ahead. This is Thorfinn, Rain Torment, waiting for Ren to kill Oskar. This is Thorfinn, Rain Torment, waiting for Ren to kill Oskar. The central theme was to insert an image of how the Danes are urged to pillage the merge, the village. Sometimes the audience can forget the cruelty of the Danes, so this is the cold reminder what rooting for them entails. Nice touch to provide a bit of the background to the life in the village where civilians get smacked down. Even if the screen time was more than needed, the scenery and the atmosphere were only yielded. There was a side view shot of Oskar, drawn top notch close to the model manga's god. Cause I don't recall the sheen on the hair in the anime ever. It's way better this way, the model the wayfarer. This is Thorfinn, Rain Torment, waiting for Ren to kill Oskar. This is Thorfinn, Rain Torment, waiting for Ren to kill Oskar.
Don't listen to Self-Critic's BS. When it comes to Vinland Saga, his criticism's a mess. Any other show, he'd already rip it apart for shitty remarks these villagers said about God. The stupid dialogue was too long for its own good.
Sure, it could have been a little shorter, but no, dude.
Idiot. Yeah, it worked in the manga material, but the anime should adapt to the medium. Anyway, why did Thorfinn have to be mentioned in the hook? The kid wasn't even in the episode, you fool.
He was in the manga though. It's weird that he wasn't animated. You're exaggerating and reaching a Nani.
Well, okay then. This is Torko. Laying dormant. Long. Waiting for an hour to beat Thorfinn.
This is Thorfinn, Rain Torment, waiting for Ren to kill Oskar. This is Thorfinn, Rain Torment, waiting for Ren to kill Oskar. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 15. Spoilers ahead. The first half was subdued, but actually good. Apparently Thorfinn opened up a chatter in Knut as he shouted at the priest for his dwindling faith, and everyone around the prince had their adrenaline raised. Torkel figured out Askelot's plan that they were on land and got stranded, so the war man commanded to march to steal the prince, take the offense, but they experience irritants, they feed on them, so Askelot knows the hazards afoot. Meanwhile, having some food with Ragnar and Knut, Thorfinn saw the prince hide his responsible side. His father disliked Knut's cooking hobby in life, a nice subtlety fleshing out his character a bit, showing his final moments spent with Ragnar for his guild. Cause the devious Welsh Danes schemed to have him slain, bring the kid under his wing, teach him to be king. But before he died, he revealed that Sweyn planned to have the prince killed in battle to leave the Danes no choice but to support his other son. The story puzzled him, a skilled and pure befuddlement. The tactical plan was believably executed, not tedious, convoluted, convenient, or just stupid. The cold no in the source was fascinating, but it was not the same in the anime then. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today Self-Critic is gonna review Kanye West's newest album, Jesus. My beautiful dark twisted fantasy is a classic, but almost everything after has been disastrous. The quality dropped drastically from his standards, and the guy was never to be salvaged from going backwards. Why should Thorn collab with Jay? Wasn't hard to tolerate, but Jesus' life of Pablo Ye and Kids the Ghosts were not okay. With his choices Kanye made, either he has lost his way, or the dude has gone insane. Either way, it's all the same. Awful songs, instrumentals, rapping and singing, mastering, mixing, structures, all crappy decisions. And even with this evil trend of albums at 20 minutes long, it doesn't care and still packages plenty fillers on. You think that time spent on them would be a factor, but no, those tracks are even whacker. So he barely puts half the effort in, yet his fans are welcoming his shallow records in. Jesus is King is better than the last three, at least it has a balanced theme if you ask me, and it knows the message he wants to convey, even if it's hypocritical coming from Ye. The atmosphere is sustained, the Bible is quoted, the choir is loaded, and you can see the guy is devoted. But it still displays the lack of professionalism in mastering with the clip and lip smacking and vocal mixing, because they sound like he recorded him in a bathroom to conceal the inferiority of his rapping. And the general law in praising the Lord, there's a certain sound applied in the ways performed. And as a devout Christian, if you're preaching a gospel, it's a bit of a venial flaw to veer from the model, which Kanye did on everything we need. And on God, worshiping him with rap drum beats is vulgar. With that decision, he just gave ammunition to have the Christians to berate the album, digging his personal valediction. So even if he knows the truth, they'll judge him. He's the one who literally pushed they buttons. I respect the artistry and the image, but Jesus is King just doesn't have any decent songs in it. Every single track is different trash and instant bashed. Lyrics back, the sentence bad, so is his rap. Close on Sunday instrumental is okay, fine, but what was he thinking with the Chick-fil-A line? Selah had a right idea but could've used better rapping, and how can any listener assume it could ever happen? West's presence isn't better in his crew, the inability to rap infected the clips too. Neither of them could even stay over the beat, but at least Kenny G's sax solo was sweet. This album gets 0 stars out of 5. I won't pardon the guy for wasting a part of my life. Will this hooligan ever release anything good again? To begin thinking it could have been Illusion Man. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 16. Spoilers ahead. Prince's sad reaction to Ragnar's passing was what you'd expect for a person he had an impact on. It didn't drag, but it was clear and transparent, cause his dead glare looked like he lost a damn parent. Askeladd is still in a pickle and feeling his people betraying him and getting him a fickle. He's thinking of cripple insurgents that resist him a little. I'll bet you that he will play those traitorous kids like a fiddle. Suspicious they didn't know it was Torkel who followed them. Now that it even influenced the story a lot again. Gossiping may have been aided by it and made a riot to trade alliances while staying quiet and slay the giant. The manga, the show, Vinland Saga is dope. I have no doubts anymore that Askeladd is the GOAT. Next to Walter White, it's incredible to observe his charm to emerge unharmed when everyone's throwing dirt at him. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 17. Spoilers ahead. Askeladd's fortune stopped smiling at him, but at the same time it didn't. His formidable fighting skills helped him survive a little. He was rightfully subdued with the numbers gathered to collide against the dude, but a fight within the Ex Machina was used to try and get him loose. Torkel keeps on being more and more convenient, but his uniform decisions tend to make him less forced to experience. He likes war, so he with the sword at people, cause he's sure that he can trust his warriors to just slaughter. Seek with us more and Zinadus serious. Him and Thorfinn serious to duel over the son of Lydia. Set up for a perfect battle to showcase how the studio runs the media. Cause they said the animation was subpar, they used it way better thus far. They didn't give the justice to the axe scene, look at Torkel's face in manga's art. It was breathtaking, I don't know what they were animating, but the horror wasn't convincing cause it doesn't evince the evil death painting. A significant drawback, right, Thorfinn's rage was an awkward sight. When they gotta try, they don't make an effort when they draw the guy. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Fear the Walking Dead Season... I don't ever remember what season it is. I think season 5, spoilers ahead. Okay, alright. I've reviewed this season's first half. Check the link in the description. Expecting the season to be bad isn't a prediction, it's a definition. The question is how bad, and the answer is very. So bad that if you ask this question to 100 people, you won't see the answer is very. Characters are still flat. Alicia, Luciana, June, Grace, John, Althea, Daniel, and Vic Strand. Jin is a bad little bit bad, evident to kill death, people with no value they can bring back. Different season, same story. Why? Different villain, same motive. Try. Bringing people like Morgan. Why? Didn't keep it from Slodic. Fine. Only one good episode this half and the rest is trash. But at least I know to laugh with the show in half and to get it bashed. Al didn't find his appel, but there's still time left to refine the detail. Cause just like with Virginia carving a cell, executing order so she won't spend time in a cell. As I mentioned before, Grace had the potential to be more, with a romance angle with Morgan tanked her hard and the rest of the people. Wes and Alicia weren't excellent either, with the reflection of sweet love. But that's because it wasn't dealt in a deeper plane, like he was testing a meter. What the heck is Candy Beansies? Candy Beansies? Who's watching the show? A band of infants and a fetus? I thought For the Walking Dead was evidently adult TV. Adult TV? With this language we'd be lucky if these children didn't laugh and tease us till a fragile ego flame shattered pieces. Grace and Morgan fling is a major shortcoming, torturing the audience cause the show has nothing more to bring. Morgan's confession was decent and all that, the feeling was shown up, but Grace's reply and weeping was so whack.
I need you to know that.
The finale's tough to justify, nothing wasn't right, just a bunch of hype fizzling into a piece of junk and fluff demise. Like Morgan Jones should be dead, but the showrunners just don't know they'll get enough dough to pay Lenny James, keeping the options open in case Lenny stays.
Grace, if you're listening to me, live, all of you, if you can hear me, just live, just live.
Distance seemed anime-inspired, except these Japanese say to die when they say goodbye to the tenacious eyes of courageous guys. But whatever saves his life, if it stays alive, it could never explain the blight. But Jenna didn't take his life when she aimed the tide to bail the crime. Awful lol, an awful season of an awful show. Both the Walking Dead and the spin-off plateau, but they keep milking it and cannot let go. The comics ended, cause the common sense it. It's author's senses, so let us hope it dawns and tense it. Of the Walking Dead them to plot an ending. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 18, spoilers ahead. What's with the physiognomy? Doesn't it look like the faces are drawn awkwardly? Yeah, the shadows seem to be handled properly, but Thorfinn's ferocity has gotta be pure comedy. He looks like he hasn't eaten in years, even thinner than I am. If you blow, he'll disappear. But to be fair, it mainly affected Thorfinn and Torkel fight, cause Bjorn's was tight and the animation was fortified. In principle, the love talk served to develop Knut, a hella mute teenager suddenly turned resolute. Not sure how I feel about it being a prog, but emotionally it almost ended up tearing me up. Prince looking like Jojo was hilarious, but for once an important panel is finally drawn like what it was demanded, as the anime's work has really paid attention to shadows, and now the only battle is to face correct the protagonist. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today's Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 19, spoilers ahead. Animation and art elevated the mark. The difference was blatantly stark, illustrations were sharp. Flashback tale that Torkel explained the morphin from insane to cordial because he's related to Thorfinn. Askeladd's method to beat him was cleverly written. Thorfinn could never defeat him, but this tenably fit him. Sunshine being a weakness and binding the war radic was more than enough for Thorfinn to storm at him. Knut's character development is still dubious, but not as stupid as it could look at first. The prince saying his life decaying swains meaningless is what I expected Askelad will claim. Now that Prince stands in the crowd, does this matter? It was easy to figure out who killed Ragnar, so I thought the manga missed what the prince would try first, until Askeladd admitted it to his highness. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews. And today Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 20. Spoilers ahead. The episode was nice, but its art was not. But unlike 2 episodes ago, this time Thorfinn wasn't a target object, but Askeladd. Knut's behavior was still cognitive dissonance, even though the reason and logic were diligent, but time with it to plot it was difficult, and the awesome depiction of the badass were just offset the difference. It was weird that Swain was gonna kill him when it was explained he couldn't kill him
himself.
But this time the situation's a bit different, cause the Princess Blade was still looking him and
Kill Swain.
Askeladd's face gave me goosebumps right when Swain tainted his mom. Thorfinn's days afraid of his boss. Never seen him this mad. This scene was amazingly done. Maybe even better than in a manga. I like the section with Willy Bald. It was pretty funny how his presentation had altered. Without a beard and not a single person had called it. Askeladd's gracious goodbye to the traitors was nice. It showed the softer side. Can't wait to see juxtaposed with organized killing of the king to get Knut immortalized. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews. And today Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 21. Spoilers ahead. I love the strategic, low-key eps with speeches, where Askeladd plays 3D chess to weed out the leeches who breach their allegiance to the prince and scheme to rattle the king's legions, hiring an assassin to murder the prince, to spread word of intent and direct the dirt. And the king was intelligent, and so was the misdirection with the slave double, cause it's capable of betrayal, so it stayed subtle. The fate conforming to Leif and Thorfinn to make him Thor in the same place was great and charming. Askeladd Bjorn duel was moving and mournful, because they didn't battle due to the quarrel. Bjorn's frail state already staring at death's face, so he wanted to get slayed by his friend's blade. And Askeladd obliged, called him his only friend, and with these emotions in, he's got a duel again. Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today Self-Critic is gonna review Vinland Saga Episode 22. Spoilers ahead. The conversation between Knut and Torkel during Askeladd and Thorfinn duel was shown in this. Which soldier will best their opponent next? Son of Olaf is Torkel's guess. As expected, the fight was one-sided. Askeladd was frighteningly irate, in a mood to jive with this sidekick. Thorfinn cause Bjorn died in a brief while back. The rest of the episode was a flashback, delving into the past of Askeladd. We knew some of the facts, but not a lot, and the story filled them in the blanks and tied the plot. I was glad the child did not win against his dad when he picked up a sword for the first time, because even the skills he sported that were high for a boy to trouble the warrior and survive. But the way he killed him was consistent with the traits of Skimmin that made him villain, in contrast with what Thorfinn Karlsefni didn't do when the little kid was put in the same position. It ain't sufficient to just kill him, it needs to be abided by the Viking way. Even if it's for reprisal, either way you will have to honorably fight till dying day. Watching the episode, I went back to look at the chapters and noticed the disparity with the source. Since the duel occurred 5 days before Knut returned to the king, Thorfinn wasn't that rich up anymore. So the fight with reprobate, spiral in a jail, dialogue with Leif were not canon. It's a liberty the anime took, and why it actually would, I cannot fathom. Either way, the villain mentioned was sensible to help to propel him towards the trail his father laid. Maybe not today, Thorfinn I'm afraid has lost his way, but the future may resolve his hate. During the king's speech when Askeladd sneered, expressing his arrogance, he outfoxed Swain. You knew that as soon as his plans got explained, something would ruin him to Askeladd's disdain. This time it was the lucky whale's mention, which then instigated Askeladd's apprehension. Floki quickly noticed that it caused him great tension. Now the smartest person's weakness is Swain's weapon. This episode covered 1 chapter in according to Mal, and the next one, Vinland Saga, ends. Are they really gonna adapt 3 chapters in the anime finale then?
Oh, it's a strange day, darling. There is no laughter here at all. There's something holding you and me from seeing the starlight on the wall.
Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today Self-Critic is gonna review the final episode of Vinland Saga, episode 24, spoilers ahead. The prologue was organically wrapped up, and yeah, they adapted 3 chapters. Askeladd was unmasked to be Castus, Lucius Artorius and Kavik scalp this. Scene was more intense than the source. Look at the panels and how it sketched the features. Art, the sequence and in the recipes of sorts were impressive, of course, the best that I saw ever in a manga. Too bad the animation in Vinland Saga deteriorated with each up to the bottom, and the studio employees did not, what a bummer. Askeladd's death is the main reason I wanted to process the contents of the manga again to see if he is really as flawless as his recalled is, and he was, yes. It's almost unsettling how such a layered character is only a stepping stone in Thorfinn's development in the context of a story that's elegant. Yukimura Makoto is telling the adaptation's okay, but it failed to convey the medieval ambience through the shades of the paint. The studio couldn't adapt a skill set sense to the spirit of the mangaka still sketches. That's why I'm pissed episodes 5 and 6 were the best, cause the studio applied its strings, so it's clear somebody else should have had to take it, or maybe it just wasn't fit to be animated.